What is going on, everyone? Chris with Journos, Comics, and Pop Culture. Today's video might be a shocking topic of discussion for a lot of you watching. I'm going to talk today about why I believe Marvel and DC under Disney and Warner Brothers will stop making comic books altogether. That's right. If you guys aren't subscribed to the channel, please take some time to do so. Check out all the links in the description below, including the link to today's sponsor, Spider Dude Comics. Check out SpiderDudeComics.com, guys. I'm going to take less than 60 seconds to give them a big shout out before we get into this juicy nugget topic of discussion today.
Today's video is sponsored by my good friends over at Spider Dude Comics. You can check out their links in the description below. You guys can save 10% off of any order by using the code JOURNOS10. This code never expires. And also, if they have any other promotions going on their website, you can always piggyback the JOURNOS10 to get that extra 10% off as well. You can search by Marvel or DC or certain ages like Silver to Golden, or your favorite characters like mine, Spider-Man. You guys could see a little bit of what they got going on here. Again, Silver Age to modern books. Stuff is extremely well priced. If you know me by now, you know that I only push those that I truly support and that I truly believe in. So again, guys, go check out SpiderDudeComics.com. You can also follow them on Instagram, and you can check out their YouTube channel by finding their link in the description below or finding their YouTube link on their website.
All right, everyone, let's dive right into it. So I'm going to start off by just discussing the current state of modern comics. So many of you watching already have your own opinions. There are a large percentage of collectors that have negative viewpoints or stances on the way the big two are pumping out content these days. We got the opinion of the quality being subpar, whether that be the writing or the artists, lack of any substance that we want to purchase for the price point. As we know, that price point that was at $3.99 for many years is now going up to $4.99. We see so many number ones or special issues that are even $5.99, $6.99. I mean, the facsimile editions now are, what, $6.99. Cost is a big issue. There is a lot of negative perspective on where the big two are. There's been a large positive growth in terms of perspective for your indie publishers, from Image to Boom to Aftershock, etc., over the last 5+ years. I'm one of them. I really like what a lot of these indie comic books are doing. So now we look at the big two, Marvel and DC, and we say, what's the problem here, and are they ever going to fix it? Then we got the fact that the hype of the variants, there's the foil that has been pushed back over the last year or two, where they are becoming much more and more popular, more and more foil variants coming out. So it's what a lot of people call gimmicks. And again, when you talk about perspective, a lot of people think that the big two are more focused on gimmicks than actually telling good stories or having good art. Now, I don't think either of them are necessarily, correlated to each other or completely parallel to each other, but it's a fair discussion and argument to have. There is data on Comic-Con that does state that the variant market is month to month the majority of sales, of new comic book sales. So on one end, you have variant comics keeping new issues afloat, right? So for those that still want to buy new comic books that are floppy comic books and read those comics, it's almost like you need this variant market. You need the gimmick market, because if the gimmick market wasn't there, would these floppies be able to sustain at their price point, at how many units they're being sold to people that actually want to collect and read them? And the answer, unfortunately, guys, in my humble opinion, is no. And I really believe that the way that this is going to be solved is that the big two are going to get rid of making new floppy comic books. Why is it going this way? And a lot of people you're probably going to be in the comments, you're probably watching this right now saying, well, it's political agendas, or it's just crappy writing, or all this stuff. I'm not going to get into any of that about why it's bad, because honestly, those are pretty much sidebars. The reason why, in a nutshell, the big two can't pump out quality that a large majority of comic book readers would like. Now, and don't get me wrong, I'm going to pause there and say, don't get me wrong. Anybody that says that there's nothing there for me, you're not really reading comics, because there's still good comic books out there. That's the other video. There are still good comics out there that are for that are for someone, and not all comics are for everyone. But it is valid to say that the quality is, and the price point keeps going up. And I think the reason why putting more focus into these new comic books in terms of the stories and the, going the extra mile to really get creative teams in there that push innovative and revolutionary type stories and artwork to bring something fresh and new to the readers, is because it's almost like a conundrum. Because you think that under Disney and under Warner Brothers, they have the capital, right? Which they do. But they don't want to put the capital to something that out of their umbrellas. What's under the Disney umbrella and what's under the Warner Brothers umbrella, the print comic book side of it is almost irrelevant. Okay? It doesn't make them enough money. Now, I don't have the stats here. I looked at them some months back. But in terms of profits and revenue, the percentage of revenue that comes in from the print comic book for the big two is very, very small. So it's almost like being a Best Buy and still wanting to sell like cassette Walkmans. And you're going to have a few people, like that are nostalgic, or that love, middle-aged people at this point that love Walkmans, and maybe they're going to love Best Buy, and you're going to be their best friend because they can walk into a Best Buy and buy that Walkman. But what's the percentage of customer base that's actually going to want that? No, they're going to be buying MP3 players and whatever else. Even MP3 players are outdated. They're going to buying smartphones. Best Buy sells smartphones now. Back to the point at hand. What does this mean for comic books? Does it mean that the floppy comic book from Marvel and DC is going to go the way of the trash can and be taken over by digital or by trade paperbacks? Because if you look in many forms and aspects, the trade paperback or graphic novel model works. It works for manga. It works for young reader stuff like Jedi Academy or Big Nate and books like that take the graphic novel form. I do believe that there is a larger market there for Marvel and Warner Brothers or Disney and Warner Brothers to capitalize on the graphic novel market. But again, that's going to be in like your, what do they call this? Somebody leave it in the comments, like the masterwork, not even the masterworks, I don't know what they're called, but the collections, that's going to be for collections from some of the classic books that came before. They're going to continue to reissue those, etc., in the omnibuses, big market, right? But that's not going to be what overtakes it. And I've said this number before, and I'm going to say it again. The digital market has not really grown in terms of percent of the market in the last decade plus. It's been hovering at around 10 to 11% for the last 12, 13 years, ever since it was introduced. That's not going to take it over either. Can that grow? Yes. This is what's going to happen that allows Disney with Marvel and Warner Brothers with DC to stop producing floppies. Okay. Now let me put one more sidebar in there. Floppies becoming irrelevant has to do with two things. One, cost of manufacturing. It's costing so much more to manufacture a floppy comic book than it is to, say, a graphic novel. And that's the way of the world right now. So, when you talk about the price point with inflation and everything else, honestly, paying $3.99 or $4.99 for a comic book, if you look at the cost it is today plus inflation, it's not far off from when we were paying $1 for it in the late 80s for a comic book, that is. So while $3.99 or $4.99 is tough on our pockets because as consumers, everything hits us so hard, but then we don't see what's on the back end for these companies. Again, it's not, well, Disney is a multi-billion-dollar company. It doesn't matter because remember, what is their revenue percentage for what floppy comic books bring them, it's very small. So why are they going to continue to put the money in? Okay. And secondly, how we consume entertainment is changing. Guys, that's just the way of life. Things change. And to be quite honest, there are more and more comic book enthusiasts that want to read graphic novels, or that want to even read in the digital space, or that are consuming these books in a different manner than the floppy comic book. Now, that's not to say that the floppy comic book is going to go extinct anytime soon. Well, Chris, get to the point here, because you're saying they're going to stop, the big two are going to stop making floppies, but you're saying they're not going to go extinct. No. And here it is. Marvel has already started doing this. Licensing their characters out. We saw it with the Marvel action books that they started pushing out to IDW. They did it with some of the Star Wars characters, with the Young Reader Star Wars Adventures. And we're seeing more and more of characters being licensed out to smaller publishers. So what does this do? It allows the big two, Marvel and DC, to still have their characters obviously be put out in comic books, floppy comic books at that, in new stories that can continue to be told, right? And it allows smaller publishing companies that don't have a Disney, where they're more concerned about what's going on in the production, film and TV production studios, and their Disneylands and Disney Worlds and their TV stations and TV shows and Disney Pluses and all those other franchise properties, that they really don't care about floppy comic books. Same with Warner Brothers. I mean, they have so much else going on within everything that's under their umbrella. This is the best way for a smaller entity that their bread and butter, their percentage of their revenue is floppy comic books. So why not license your characters more and more into the hands of a publishing company that is going to take care of the marketing and advertising and even the creative process in a way that's going to push them to be innovative. Because why? Because the revenue that they make off of these licensed characters and these licensed property is going to be a big chunk of their revenue and profit margins. And it's that simple. Now, is this something that I feel is going to happen overnight? No, but like I said, we've already seen it happening. Now, I also believe in anybody that works in the entertainment industry and that understands with licensing could probably add in the comment section about how this could look. And there's many different ways, and it's probably going to be more nuanced and not just black and white. But you could still have somebody with creative control in the Marvel, under Disney, under the Marvel umbrella, because Disney will still own Marvel. Disney will still own Marvel Studios, Marvel Entertainment, Marvel TV. I know Marvel TV and it's all whatever the proper names are, but even Marvel Comics, they will still own Marvel Comics. Marvel Comics will still produce, like I said, trade paperbacks, omnibuses, maybe even special edition floppies that are giant size or something like that. Select properties and select publications. But the majority of their titles will be licensed out. Kind of like what, and I know this is a little different, but kind of like how Kevin Feige works with Sony Studios when looking at the Marvel properties that they have. Again, it's a little different because it's not simply licensing, because they own the rights in the realm that they're working in, which is film. But I really believe that this can happen, and honestly, this can save, for those that think it's a doom and gloom scenario, which I'm not quite there yet. This can really innovate. Let's not say save. It can really innovate the characters that we love, right? These iconic, legendary characters, from Cap to Spider-Man to Batman to Justice League to even some of these newer characters, and allow creative teams to get on board and to allow these companies to really push for innovation rather than, gimmicks, because that's what's keeping it alive. IDW, Boom Studios, Image, they don't need 50 variant covers. They don't need foil covers. Of course, you see them putting a few out here and there. They have incentive variants that they put out as well, but they don't live off that. They're not thriving off that. They're thriving off of producing good titles that are telling good stories, that have solid art, and that, the ability for those properties to be optioned is there as well. But, if you have that with these legacy characters of Marvel and DC, we already know that we have a Marvel Studios and a DCU, an MCU and a DCU that are still going to handle, the optioned, the live action piece of these characters. So that's what I have to say on this topic of discussion, folks. I really want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments below. I do believe this could be a decade process. Let's look at 10 years, 5 to 10 years into the future, and see if we start seeing more and more of these characters licensed, and if we come to a point where they, being Marvel or DC, really give control, again, with still having some type of oversight there, really giving control to say, you guys are going to handle the production of the legacy runs. Something to ponder, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, if you aren't subscribed to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it if you take time to do so. Click the notification bell to be notified of all the videos. It definitely helps with the algorithms too. Click the like button, click the thumbs down button if you weren't feeling it, and share your constructive opinions below as well. Thank you guys. Be well, and until next time.